Welcome to the KOSEC Show. Join the KOSEC KODARI Securities team as they share their insights on the Australian share market, discussing some of their best performing companies, macroeconomic news from offshore, including local domestic news, foreign exchange, as well as commodities. If you have any questions regarding the share market, our phone lines are open. You can dial in on 1300 854 151 or alternatively, email info@kosec.com.au. Exclusively on this show, each guest will reveal their hottest stock pick. For more information on any of the topics discussed, go to kosec.com.au. The information featured in this program is general in nature and does not take into account your personal circumstances, needs, or objectives. Guests appearing on the program may own or have commercial arrangements with some of the companies mentioned. Before making any investment insurance or financial planning decisions, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you.
Afternoon, investors. My name is Will Brownlee, and welcome to the KOSEC Show, where we discuss all things relevant in the market this week. Macroeconomic data, currencies and commodities, top performers for the week that was, and of course, our hottest stock picks for the week to come. Before I go any further, as always, allow me to introduce to you my investment panel and resident experts on the market. To my left, the ever wonderful Caroline Wong, returning the ever stoic Gabriel Ryan, and of course, the ever mystic Mr. Louis Mossman, filling in for the senior trader Gabe, who's on a brief high. Yeah, do you like that? Mystic Mossman. Mystic Louis Mossman.
Lynn's away, you said Gabe's away.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Mystic Mossman, because you pick, you see into the future and you pick stocks.
I like that. Well, if that's the impression I give, I'll keep that.
Absolutely. Sure. How are we all doing today, guys?
Yeah, very good.
Everybody had an enjoyable week so far. Market's been behaving itself a little bit more than what it did last week. I remember for the past 2 Fridays, we've seen quite a steep downturn, to try to see decline, but we managed to have not too bad days in recent times. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. Let's get started with a bit of macroeconomic data, and what I'm going to do is jump straight over to Gabe and have a bit of chat about this AstraZeneca rollout. Some people are saying that it's not good, blood clots, 30 people out of 90 or 1 million have died, or something. I don't know. Something. Talk to us about that. What's happening?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the death
six or seven.
what the ratio
major
is.
complications.
I guess it's something. Just generally, the rollout's been a little bit marred by concerns in regards to death. We obviously had that situation in Denmark where a lot of the elderly folk were, they died after taking the vaccine. And now we have the situation where there's these blood clots occurring in people taking the AstraZeneca vaccine. Again, if you just look at what these vaccines are, they haven't been around for that long. There's only been minimal testing. So, probably we'll see what happens as it gets rolled out.
Okay, just to play devil's advocate here.
Oh, yes.
Okay, in the absence of Mr. Cal, but just play devil's advocate here. Surely we're vaccinating old people
Yes.
who could potentially be prone to blood clots at the best of times.
Sure.
And it's not that many, right? How many people are getting them as opposed to how many people are being vaccinated?
I actually don't know. I haven't poured over the literature myself, although I'm aware that it's enough to warrant concern. I think it's been pulled in, 17 countries in Europe.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's
I think it's still 1 in millions, though.
Yeah,
Don't quote me on anything I say, but it's still 1 in millions. And there's a lot of medication that's given out there and a lot of popular medication that's given with rates that are 1 in thousands and 10,000. So in the grand scheme of healthcare, the concern isn't that much. Yeah. That's why here in Australia, I think Scott Morrison has been pretty happy to just...
Well, he's got it. He's got the jab. His blood looks relatively
Which
healthy.
one did he get? I can't remember.
Probably it's Pfizer one. I think
Probably got himself the best one.
He got himself the best one. Because there's 3 now, yeah? Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca. It's Johnson & Johnson
Moderna
on the...
as well.
And Moderna as well.
RNA, yeah.
Okay, which one would you get if you had to put one?
I'm very methodical, so I'd probably have to do a lot of reading before I would take any.
Well, let's not even get straight.
I'll buy into the narrative and I'll just take whichever one.
Yeah,
I think that's really the appropriate thing.
I think what did Linson say last week or a couple of weeks ago? Whatever's going to allow me to travel the quickest is whatever I'm going to get. Let's jump straight over to Mr. Mossman, because I know you've been keeping a pretty close eye on the Australians' job report, which is something that came. Nice tie, by the way.
Yeah, we're matching up there, aren't we?
That's not intentional. We've just, I got to go home and change my tie now. Australian jobs report. Talk to us a little bit about that. What's that telling us? Are we up? Are we down? Is it good? Is it bad? Whereabouts are we placed?
Well, I'll start off by saying it is very good. So earlier in the week, we had the ABS release the jobs data. So we dropped 0.55% unemployment to 5.8%. Now, for us, the vaccine rollout hasn't been a huge concern, as with employment figures like that, we really can see our economy is doing exceedingly well. I think Scott Morrison and Frydenberg, they're on television for about 2 or 3 days after that, touting the results. And I think it really does come down to what they've done with stimulus. And the RBA has played a role, but JobKeeper and JobSeeker have done extraordinarily well in supporting that. So the ABS also recorded that there was a 56% fall this year alone, I think in the last couple months, 4 to 6 months, in those who need JobKeeper. So it's already halved the people who are needing JobKeeper. So firstly, that's a great thing. The government's not having to spend money. And secondly, people have jobs to spend money.
I think it's getting a bit old now, isn't it? Sort of like, I remember back when COVID first kind of hit the scene, everyone's like, wow, this is a great holiday. This is a great opportunity to go home, probably blow over in a couple of months. I'll take a bit of work from home, bit of leave and everything. Now it's like a year and a half on. It's like, all right, enough's enough. I'm sick of it. I want to get back to work. I don't want to take this job kit. I just want to get back into the office. I think people are a lot more actively searching for work now, probably actively looking to get back to some form of normality.
That 0.55% is in fact 90,000 people found jobs. So people are eager to get back to work, and that's really important.
Where are these jobs coming from? Like, are they just...
I'd say a whole range of sectors. I don't have an exact breakdown. Caroline might know a bit more, but I'd say a range of sectors. Retail, hospitalities would, of course, be continually picking up. That's a pure factor of our COVID cases being extremely minimal. 1 in the last 50 days or whatever it was.
Because forgive me for my obtuseness here, and obviously speak to me like I'm an idiot because I'm not entirely sure, but surely if jobs are picking back up again and they're in the retail space or the hospitality space, surely that's just people that lost their jobs before now getting their old jobs back. Even if they're not getting their actual jobs back, surely that's someone else. Or is this something to do with the massive floods of tourists that we've got coming out? Or has this got something to do with the, people on leave here? What would you equate that to?
Well, firstly, I'd equate it down to the GDP figures we had for the third quarter of 2020. So for the 6 months from July to December, Australia recorded 2 consecutive quarters of over 3% GDP growth. And that's a record since history, since records were kept for Australian data. So it comes down to economic growth. Everyone who lost their jobs, not all of them have returned, admittedly, and a lot of people would be still struggling.
Yes.
But the rebound that can be attributed directly to stimulus payments and monetary policy has contributed to people getting jobs back. So I'd put it down to the rebound and our management of COVID-19 and of course economic growth in general. So there's still more jobs to recover, but it's lost jobs coming back in the same sectors.
Very good. Very good. Well, listen, that's Australia. Let's take a big cycle over to America, USA. Obviously, now I'm no longer having to talk about Donald Trump, so that's absolutely fantastic. We might as well check in on those guys. I know, Caroline, you've been keeping a close eye on what the Fed's doing because they've also released some statements, a little bit of announcements. Talk us through that.
So I think that's the highlight for the week, FOMC meeting once a month. They do it once a month. So they kept interest rates unchanged.
Shocker.
They will continue to buy a bond purchasing program. They will continue to embark on the same speed. But what I'd like to talk about is the dot plot that comes out every 3 months. So if we look at it, so what the dot plot does, it's a monetary policy forecast that occurs every 3 months. So FOMC members, you actually get to allocate 1 dot plot, which represent your view as to where interest rates will go in the next 3 months. So if we look at the charts, there are 2 charts, the top one representing December 2020's meeting, the bottom one representing that of March, so that's 2 days ago.
So this is our likelihood of getting a rate increase, is that correct?
We can see that within each chart, there is a purple and blue box. The purple one represents that of 2022, blue one represents 2023. So for 2022, what we can see is that 4 members expect a rate hike. This is as opposed to 1 member back in the December forecast.
Wow, okay, right.
And then in 2023, now 7 members expect a rate hike. This is as opposed to 5 in the December forecast.
Okay. So what they're basically saying is more members are now anticipating that there's going to be a hike in rates over the next 3 months, yeah?
I'd like to just add to that as well, because we keep a very close eye on everything happening every day. So we're watching every news release
Glad someone is.
across the world. And another thing that's been increasing with that decision, I think, has played into it, is increased inflation expectations. Because we've noticed that, and I'm sure a lot of investors have as well, that inflation and how much it's being mentioned in the news, by media, by
All the time,
central
yeah.
banks, it's just increasing. And there has been a few tangible, pickups in inflation in a wide variety of metrics. But I think that, of course, will be in response to that. We've got a $1.9 trillion stimulus plan that's going to be started handing out to consumers and individuals across America. So the Fed is definitely going, all right, well, we've done everything we can, and there's fiscal and monetary stimulus in the economy. Now let's probably going to have to take a back step and see what we can do to maybe calm down.
This sort of...
Because inflation still exists, and it's kind of been lost over the last 12 months because it's all about stimulating growth. But at the end of the day, it will creep up on you, and that's what inflation usually does.
And Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've said over in America, they've said, and feel free to bounce to someone else if you're not sure on the answer. I believe that they've said, Jerome Powell said that he's not going to hike any rates until 2024. Is that still the case?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what he said, but the expectations are clear that it will be hiked before then, I think, is what the consensus is.
Correct.
This guy's the boss. Surely.
It's pretty risky,
well,
risky statement to make, to be honest, because just say you need to make a cut or environments change, that's a 4-year period he's holding rates at the one level for. Things change over 4 years, and no doubt I wouldn't agree with him.
I mean, I'm just thinking about all the memes that could come out of it. If we hike rates, big meme of him saying not till 2024, and we've got rate hikes of 4 or 5 times.
There will be no carbon.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, how can they go out and do that? I suppose they can go out.
Of course they can.
Yeah, of course they can. What are your thoughts? Do you think we're going to go up, down, stay the same?
Hey, well, listen, I mean, consensus that'll go up. I mean, keeping rates near zero for the next 3 years may be a little bit of a challenge given the, concerns regarding inflation, things of that nature. So they probably will have to.
But Caroline, they've also said here as well in Australia, 2023, keeping on rates at almost record lows, yeah? Absolutely crazy. And let's just cycle over to my home country. Let's go over to New Zealand and let's talk about that. Apparently, they're entering into another technical recession, the second one in the past 52 weeks or something like that. Did anyone cover that, or is this only me?
So I think GDP contracted and it fell below expectations for the last quarter of 2020.
Okay, and then this time we're anticipating it to fall again for this. They've said almost certainty, right?
I think what happened was that they were anticipating a growth in their GDP for that quarter of 0.2%, whereas it fell actually 1%. So, they're probably heading into another recession.
Okay, right. And what's happening with the actual stocks and with the actual markets? Because here in Australia, it was I'm not sure. Do we finish up for the week, or it feels like we finished today down? So we must have finished down overall. But certainly some of the stocks that we've been looking at haven't been getting that badly hit. I mean, some ones have done very well. Ansell, Appen, they've been doing quite well.
Clinuvel as well.
Yeah, Clinuvel, absolutely phenomenal performance recently. What's that attributed to? Because the market's coming down. Is it just the blue chips getting sold off? Is it sector rotation? Thoughts?
Well, to be honest, for the last 3 weeks, we've been pretty, as Gabe would have said, crabbing sideways. There hasn't been a one-directional movement. So with that, you've got to factor out all the noise, as we like to say, and find individual companies that will do well, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day what the market is doing. Businesses go up and businesses go down. So you really just got to, I suppose, factor out all of those things and look at individual companies that will do well over the next few weeks. And that's what we've been focusing on.
Factor out the noise.
Yeah,
Factor out the noise.
Yeah. Well, that's what you got to do. Yeah. And I think that's what we've been really focusing on, is finding individual companies and nailing down exactly what sectors, what areas, and what.
Because I would ascertain that maybe if you were in an index fund this week or an ETF, you might not have been particularly bullish. However, this week obviously there was big gains to be made, so it's becoming a bit more of a stock pickers market like it was in 2017, 2018, I think.
Exactly.
And
that's a more natural market environment. I think if you can make ridiculous returns year on year, we're just index investing and leaving your money in blue chip stocks. That's not a really realistic investment strategy at the end of the day. The environment changes and businesses go up. Businesses can trend down for years on end. So you've got to be really prudent when it comes to your management of these holdings. And I suppose that's what 2020 has looked like so far.
Yes.
And it looks like it's going to continue to be for the next
2021.
for a few months. 2021 so far. I'm still stuck
Very
in
good.
COVID-19.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to get out of it. It's hard to break it.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. We are now going to go to a new section of the show. It's going to be called Street Walks and Street Talks.
Hi, I'm Tegan from the KOSEC Show, and today we're looking for...
stock tips from people in finance, cabbies, and even hairdressers. G'day mate, how's it going?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Not too bad.
I'm just with the KOSEC Show. Look, we hear that cab drivers get really good stock tips from people around the CBD. You got any stock tips for us today?
Not really. Nah, not too many.
Not too many? Sounds like you got one secret one that you're hiding from everyone. What's that?
I don't know. A few people from outside Chifley have told me a few stocks to look into, and one A2 Milk.
A2 Milk?
A few tech companies.
Yeah.
That's about it, really. Yeah.
All right, cheers. Thanks for your time.
Any stock tips?
A2 milk.
A2 milk?
A2 milk we love.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
We were just wondering, for our viewers today, do you have any stock tips at all you'd like to give us?
Yep. Don't trade stocks individually. See a financial advisor.
Perfect, thank you so much.
worries.
Have a good day. Any businesses you'd be looking to buy or any trading secrets you want to give up?
Sell high, buy low.
Perfect, thank you. Any stock tips? Any trading secrets?
Fast Brick, they're a disruptive construction company in WA. Just get as much money as you can in there.
Hi Carl, it's nice to meet you. We're from the KOSEC Show. We were just wondering if you have any stock tips maybe you've heard for some clients that you've cut hair recently?
Yes, I always get tips from clients, and there is a tip actually. The company that's called Appen Limited, supposed to be a good company to get some stock in, which is really always good to hear it from the clients while we're sitting with them and getting some tips of them. So hopefully that will work for everyone.
Do I have any what?
Stock tips.
Buy low, sell high.
Thank you. We're from the KOSEC Show. Do you have any stock tips for our viewers today?
Shell.
What is your hottest opportunity for today?
I'd like to know more about Bitcoin, but I don't even know if you can actually do that in the through the stock market. If there was an ETF in Bitcoin, I'd probably be onto that. But what is the hottest opportunity today? The buy now, pay later segment has been the hottest one, but right now, that might be changing.
All right, what do you think it's going to rotate into?
It's a good question. I don't have the answer.
As kids, we were active. We were creative. We questioned all things. We celebrated everything. We took risks. We had no limits. We had dreams. Our imagination helped us solve problems and create new possibilities. Albert Einstein once said, "Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions." We are in an ever-changing world filled with fear and uncertainty. Don't let that change the inner child within. As Walt Disney said, imagination has no age, and dreams are forever. KOSEC is here to help build your dreams and create possibilities. Secure your success with KOSEC KODARI Securities.
Throughout time, humans have relied upon innovation to advance and evolve, using new and improved methods, having meaningful impact on society and industries. In order to advance, ideas were transformed into new products and services. The stock market has also evolved through innovation. Innovation has been key to KOSEC's success. Using artificial intelligence and machine learning, KOSEC has streamlined processes to bring better opportunities to clients. Opportunities that might have otherwise been missed. Join a company that innovates to bring clients the best opportunities and service. Invest with a solid strategy. Invest with confidence. Invest with KOSEC. KODARI Securities.
How do you get the highest returns in the stock market on a consistent basis? Obsessed with this idea, Michael KODARI forms KOSEC, KODARI Securities. He seeks, in his own words, a revolutionary investment strategy based on better information and knowledge. Wealth begins with better knowledge, becomes his motto. He seeks to identify and accurately pick the next top-performing stocks on the ASX. He seeks for consistency. Michael KODARI creates a unique stock market filtering system he names Lotus Blue, named after a flower that blooms just once. Because in investing, timing is everything. See how accurate KOSEC stock picks are. Get a free 7-day access to Lotus Blue today. If you want the KOSEC investment edge, you know what you have to do. Call KOSEC now or visit kosec.com.au and take advantage of the insights he reserves for his clients.
Do you follow currencies? Want to know how the Aussie dollar is travelling? Do you love commodities? Do you see gold prices rising? Do you see more demand for oil? Do you see the world economy growing? Get the latest in-depth analysis and discussion on commodities every week from real traders. Get real insights only on the KOSEC Show.
Welcome back. Let's talk currencies and commodities, all things that shine, sparkle and fold and make the world go round. And we're going to start off by taking a look at one of the things that shines, but certainly hasn't been shining very brightly recently. However, I hear we might be in for a bit of a turnaround. Is that right, Mr. Ryan? Let's talk about gold.
Let's talk about gold.
Okay.
So, yeah, listen, gold...
We're going to keep doing this? Okay. I introduce it and then you talk about it.
Okay, I'll start. So, okay. Again, we've been discussing gold every week for the past couple of months now. And we've highlighted that the narrative, which is really driving gold, is COVID.
Yep.
It's COVID concerns, the inflation, with all the money printing we've seen. And we look at, going back to August, what happened when Vladimir Putin announced the Sputnik vaccine. It's been on a downtrend since then, right? And then every vaccine announcement thereafter has actually facilitated further drops. It's just dropping, and actually maybe it's found support at these levels. Now, if we have a look earlier in the week...
So this is the 1,700 mark, which is sort of a key level, key level, just in that 1,700 sort of dollar range. And you are right. It has been a very anemic chart. Like, it has been absolutely...
I mean, fundamentally... people are saying that Bitcoin is where people are putting their money now that the gold is no longer the inflation hedge. I think the reality is that something which is tangible, like gold or silver, whatever precious metal you have, the reality is that this isn't going to disappear, right? It's eternal almost. It's as primal as fire, gold.
You got such a romantic way of speaking about it,
It
by
does.
the way. It sounds really good.
Gold.
I'm gonna buy some gold. We need to have a little fire here. And
I mean, there are people that are like, gold fundamentalists, and really gold's fundamentals are almost unquenchable. And if you,
I know you're a Bitcoin man, and you love cryptos to heart, but how do you balance then cryptos versus gold? Because inflation hedges have been talked about.
I mean, listen, I can like Italian food, and I can like Mexican food. It doesn't mean that, I won't take both.
Perfect. I'll take that for an answer. But so gold is something.
Yeah. So listen, we've had this new stimulus coming through in the US. Gold has had a very bullish couple of candlesticks the past few days, watching very closely. But if you want to pull up the chart of gold, again, this is a line chart, of course, but it is moving in a bit of a descending triangle, which in technical terms is a little bit more of a bull flag.
And that's at that bottom of that is the 1700-ish level, which is a relatively key level of support for that one. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that may be potentially bottoming out. Again, what's potentially adding a little bit more fuel to the fire is that we've had these vaccine pauses in Europe as well, and not necessarily something which is going to facilitate further depreciation in what gold's doing. If everything is okay in the end, I think it just adds further positivity to the case for gold moving forward. And any further announcement, I think, with the vaccines in the negative sense, we'll probably see a little bit more positivity for gold moving forward and potentially breaking that downward trend.
And I know one of the things that you brought in, I'm just trying to see what I can do to find it. Here it is, right here. You actually the other day sent me a little bit of a position on what the predictions for 2021 and beyond
for a lot of institutions.
For a lot of the big institutions. I'm just bringing that up right now. We actually don't have it on the screen, but what I can do is read it out because I think it's something quite interesting. For instance, Bank of America, 2,063 in 2021.
Yep.
So currently trading at 1,700-ish, 2,063. Capital Economics, think 1,900, still up. CIBC, 2,300. Citigroup says 2,100. Commerce Bank, 2,300. CMP Group says 1922 average. This is obviously US. Mark and Mead, Forex Empire, 2,400, and Metals Force, 2,100. There's quite a bit of stuff. It seems to be very bullish on that, and they've also got some stuff for the long term. And I noticed one person says $5,000, in the
longer term. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Bitcoin's also going to $1 million. They say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Everything's sort of moving on. So gold could be the turnaround.
Yeah,
worth considering. And to be fair with you, we actually mentioned it on the show. We had a viewer call in for a question. We mentioned Northern Star. That's been doing particularly well. Moved in a positive direction quite nicely. Okay, I think that's up about 4 or 5% since it mentioned that. So this could be the start of a big turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, worth noting with a lot of the gold players as well is that they're actually down to where they were in March last year.
Yes.
Nearly where the market got sold off quite aggressively. And you might say rationally so. I mean, Northern Star's latest report was very positive. They had the merger of equals with Saracen, by all means, something which could do quite well. On top of that, gold is above where it was in March that time last year as well.
20%, isn't it? I don't know if that's true, but I always thought 20% above from where it was in March last year.
Exactly. So it's not like the earnings expectations of the company are really that much worse, given that the commodity is actually more expensive than what it was back then as well.
It's crazy. Market was trading at roughly, let's say, at the peak of the crash, shall we say, 4,500-ish? There around. It had a 4 in front of it at some point on that crash. We're now very close to 7,000 points. And yet, something like Northern Star is trading at the same price as what it was back then. And gold's gone up. I mean, is that the definition of irrational selling? I don't know. We don't know. We'll let the viewers decide on that one. Let's cycle straight over to Mr. Mossman. Have a talk to us about oil, which obviously goes hand in hand. And what's oil doing? Is it going up, going down, sideways?
Well, we'll start off with the chart. We'll pull up the chart of oil. So oil obviously has had a phenomenal run in the last few months. We've been covering that pretty closely on the show. But as you can see, it has had that pretty violent pullback. Now, again, it's a line chart, but we have not been able to make a higher high. And we've actually pulled back off that $70 mark. I think we got
so US. So it was an 8% drop last night, yeah?
Yes, of course. So we're pretty heavily sold off oil. And the way I'm kind of seeing it is overbought right now. Yes. It is pretty frothy, that oil market. And there might be, and there probably is, a cap on demand for global demand. Yes, we're having a strong recovery from COVID-19, and yes, global travel is reopening, but only so much can be really factored in.
Of course.
So for me, the future catalysts for oil will be the supply side factors, all driven from OPEC, and that's completely unpredictable what they're going to come out with. So I've really narrowed it down to 3 things that have influencing the oil market at the moment. The first of which is an increase in commercial US inventory. So the EIA reported earlier in the week 2.4 million barrels a day increase in oil. So there's not that demand that was probably expected. 2, we've got a rising and a stronger US dollar. And then 3, we've got the vaccine rollout. So they haven't really gone as expected over the last few weeks. And a lot of countries are struggling. In particular, I think Germany might be going into another lockdown. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, the AstraZeneca vaccine has been pulled back and they won't be rolling that out. So coupled with the the demand side has obviously pulled back, and we're just waiting for a supply side factor. So oil market is looking pretty subdued at the moment, and probably will be looking to consolidate around the level $60 to $70 mark for both Brent and crude in the next.
Because it's almost bubble-like. It was almost getting into a bubble. Like it was really, like it was rocketing. There weren't many days where it was down. It was probably a little bit irrational. Yes.
Yeah, it's so hard to make a comment about oil in that sense because of OPEC. Really, and that's the one thing that still puzzles me about the oil market, makes it so difficult to predict its future direction, because you can make demand side predictions because it comes from the real economy, but OPEC is a cartel controlling it, making decisions independently of anyone else. So again, it will be waiting for a supply side factor. I think the demand side is pretty much factored in at the moment. Any other bullish or bearish bet will be based on an OPEC decision.
Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, normally we've got our eye on Caroline, or certainly our eye on Orr. But today, we've got our eye on a video question coming in from one of our viewers.
Hi guys, my name's Joe Zwart. I love your show, love listening to your tips. Just wondering what you think of uranium and rare earths. Interested in if you have any other info or any tips on that. Thanks.
Well, there you go. One of the more complicated questions that we've had. Uranium. Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Because you get all these questions all the time about uranium. I love that. It's like, yeah, of course.
I'll preface whatever I say with, I'm no expert in uranium and energy as it comes down to the technical side.
Well, listen,
but I do
myself and Gabe and Caroline are all experts in it.
All right.
So we don't want to, for the millionth time, explain it again. So why don't you take this one? Why don't you explain it and we'll correct you?
I will say that uranium is a chemical element, and it is a metal of some forms. Gabe, you're probably the most knowledgeable. A metal of some forms, and it's used for a nuclear energy. So a form of energy that's been very popular, preceding probably the Fukushima disaster in Japan. And a lot of those large-scale disasters and events have really pulled back on governments and private sector attraction to using that form of energy. So both it and hydrogen are two that are really taking a back seat in the world at the moment, I'd say.
Yes.
And something that isn't a major focus from governments in general. You can definitely say that EVs and electrification has been the primary focus.
So lithium and cobalt and those sorts of stuff. When it got nothing to do with uranium.
Yeah, when it comes to renewable energies in general, and in that sense. However, both uranium and hydrogen are two forms of energy that look very prosperous for the future of energy in general, because they're quite low emissions. Although there are some dangers associated with uranium, I believe its efficiency in generating energy in general is
so short to medium term, maybe not. It could be more growth somewhere else, don't go against the trend, but maybe long term, this is something that could do exceptionally well.
Yeah, well, we do need to look somewhere else, and it's pretty evident that we can't operate off electrics. We can't operate off batteries and solar power alone.
Yeah.
We need to have a very diversified portfolio, if you might say, of different energy sources. And nuclear does appear to be a viable option moving forward if we can eradicate any of those dangerous aspects.
That's a bit scary.
One of the businesses, in fact, it's not one we really keep track of, but one I've had my eye on over the last few months is Paladin Energy. And they're a uranium miner out of Africa, within the Congo. So they've got a pretty interesting mine there. Again, developments haven't been going too great, just because there's no real demand for it in the world.
I've got a million questions because I wouldn't even have the foggiest idea of what uranium is or where you get it from. When you say you mine it in the Congo, was it just sitting in the river somewhere, or is it under the earth? I've got no idea.
It's underground, so it comes from it's from a metal from dirt. I don't know.
Yeah. So
it's used for energy.
And to be clear, we're just cycling back to what we said before. Short to medium term, potentially a bit risky. Longer term, if you're willing to wait the longer term out, then potentially it could do exceptionally well. It's very interesting. I used to speak to a sort of venture capital hedge fund person a couple of years ago now, and they always used to say that their dad used to do a lot of the picking for them and a lot of the decisions and stuff like that. And they used to say that he was so early on absolutely everything. He would buy into something and it wouldn't do anything for the first 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and then it would all just suddenly shoot up at the same time. I think he was talking about cobalt at the time. Did very well. And he said that he's always jumping in too early. Potentially our viewer, great question, potentially something a little bit too early, maybe wait to see a bit of traction towards the north, maybe some more mainstream adoption.
Not really, because for the past year, like if you look at Louis' stock, like he talked about Paladin Energy, it's up like 400% in the past year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It is up 400%, but again, it's
get back in your box.
Good stuff, Caroline.
Get back in your box, Will. All
Yeah,
right.
they've had a slew of positive announcements, but when I talk about the uranium market in general, individual businesses can do that every day.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I mean, it's possible, all sectors, all types of businesses. But when it comes to the uranium market in general and its uses across the world, it still really hasn't exploded. It's funny.
Exploded. I get. Oh, geez, that's
Oh,
not the
that
word.
is
That's
being fun.
Let's move on from that one there, ladies and gentlemen. That's commodities, currencies, and the events that have shaped them. Now, are you a bull or a bear? Let us know. Our phone lines are now open. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll take a look at the best and worst performers on the Australian market this week.
The world changed this year. So did the stock market. Is it time for a change in your portfolio? Invest with confidence. Invest with a solid strategy. Invest with KOSEC, KODARI Securities.
RBA has cut interest rates to a record low of 0.1%. Returns in saving accounts are now shockingly low. We have never seen these conditions before. The good news is that the stock market benefits from low interest rates and historically has outperformed property or any other asset class. KOSEC uses a unique stock market filtering system called Lotus Blue, which helps generate solid profits for clients. During COVID in April 2020, KOSEC recommended Kogan, which went up 340%. In June, KOSEC recommended Saracen Minerals, which went up 23%. In October, KOSEC recommended Nickel Mines, which went up 33%. If you want your money working overtime, you need to know what stocks to buy and when to sell. That's where KOSEC can help. With no barriers to entry, it's just simple investing. Build wealth with a concrete investment strategy. Go to kosec.com.au. Get a free 7-day access to Lotus Blue and receive our top 8 stock picks today.
Throughout time, humans have relied upon innovation to advance and evolve, using new and improved methods, having meaningful impact on society and industries. In order to advance, ideas were transformed into new products and services. The stock market has also evolved through innovation. Innovation has been key to KOSEC's success. Using artificial intelligence and machine learning, KOSEC has streamlined processes to bring better opportunities to clients. Opportunities that might have otherwise been missed. Join a company that innovates to bring clients the best opportunities and service. Invest with a solid strategy. Invest with confidence. Invest with KOSEC. KODARI Securities.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at what the best and worst performers on the week were. We're going to go straight over to Caroline, the queen of charts, for your little chart on what the best and worst are. Take it away.
So for this week, we ended exactly where we started off. So it's like an inverted U shape. Went up, and then now we're back down to where we started off.
In terms of sectors or in terms of the market?
No, in terms of XKO, the performance of XKO this week. If we jump straight into the chart, we can see our top performers, healthcare. And fortunately, we are in both of the top performers, first being Clinuvel Pharmaceuticals.
Wow, that thing was up, what, 4% today? Yeah. That's up 15% for the week or something? Something.
Close to 10. And then Ansell is another one. This one is a manufacturer of medical and industrial gloves.
That was actually on the podcast not so long ago. We mentioned that was something that could do quite well.
Yep.
Clinuvel was... Do we mention Clinuvel recently?
Yeah, it was Linson's pick last week.
It was Linson's pick last week. Unbelievable. Don't tell him I said that. If he's watching the podcast, good job, mate. But, yeah...
The other top performing sector is real estate, up 0.7%. I think the heavyweight was done by Charter Hall Group, CHC. And on to the worst performing sector, materials, down 0.9%. So miners did not do too well this week, probably on the back of...
Fortescue was down bad. Like it had a big drop off.
BHP Real, all rate candlesticks throughout the week. For Fortescue, they actually imposed they actually come up with a self-imposed net zero deadline. So they want to achieve like carbon neutrality by 2030 instead of 2040.
That's the thing about Fortescue, and that's why I'm reluctant to put an aggressive sell on it or to think that, obviously it's something ridden right to the top. As soon as we saw things moving, we moved away from it. But it's one of those things that when they made that announcement about how they're going to do the hydrogen and the $1 billion project and everything and how they're really doing that, I think that sort of held the price up a little bit. I don't know it's seen as much selling pressure because it's no level of support. It's not near a 200-day moving average. Can't see a Fibonacci line there. However, it's managed to just consolidate at that point there. Thoughts, ideas?
I think it's led by Twiggy Forrest, and he's really an entrepreneurial person at his core.
Yeah.
And he's always looking for ways to innovate and make his company better than the next. So
and he's he's got huge philanthropic gestures, absolutely massive. So
exactly,
a bit hard to hate a company like that.
Might be viewed positively because they're doing this 10 years ahead of their initial deadline. And they're doing it to be at the forefront of the industry as well. So might be perceived well.
In comparison to 2030, which is his intention, BHP's goal is 2030. So that's 20 years ahead of the biggest miners in the world. Really. So very optimistic and big target, but I suppose viewed pretty positively by the market.
Very good. Very good. let's talk about something that's been really heavily beaten down, but I think could be potentially in a bit of a turnaround, if not a consolidation pattern. I'm going to go over to Gabe, okay? Have a chat to us about how tech's been going. Because
Australian tech?
No, Mars Tech. Yes, Australian tech.
Yeah. Well, listen,
Most of our viewers are from Australia.
Of course. Well, listen, the NASDAQ has had a bit of a choppy week over in the US, and you know what they say, often we take leads from what the US or potentially some of the European or other Asian markets have done. Just today, we're looking at a few tech players, not just today, over the last couple of weeks, things like App and Altium as well. Now,
Technology One
as well, a great example. And what's worth noting is these companies are so heavily beaten down. Tech over in the US was actually down last night as well.
3%. And these stocks were up 3%. So
exactly. So we have things like App and Altium. I think Appen finished up 2.5% today, despite that as well. It's one of those situations where just how much further selling pressure can this have realistically, given that it's down. It's got north of 150% to get to its all-time high from where it is currently trading at.
It's had a phenomenal drop-off, and we've got broker calls 75% upside.
Yeah, some pretty big upside. Fundamentally, has anything changed to warrant such a massive sell-off? Potentially. You never know for sure, but I think there's some good room to grow from here.
Yeah, I think what investors have to be wary of is this bond yield story, which has just, again, dominated the news. You've also got to factor out the noise of what everyone's saying, because bond yields have been rising, and as Lindsay said, for multiple weeks on end, it's discounting future cash flows, which tech profits, so their share price is based on, really. So that's the pullback that is obviously the reason that tech's been underperforming.
Yeah.
But there's still businesses that are going to do well. It doesn't matter if bond yields are rising. Some tech players that still have very bright and positive outlooks.
Yeah, so you take a look at Technology One. Now, that's a business that we've been in for a while. It's done very well, looking like a breakout. That was up again, despite the NASDAQ being down. They do HR and payroll contracts and business intelligence stuff for the government here in Australia. Like, how are they going to be affected that much by bond yields, etc.? How are they going to be affected? They're very consistent revenues. They are a business good, fundamentally quite sound. And we spoke about that quite a bit on the podcast. I think it's that story that if you can find a business that's anywhere near as low as what it was a year ago, and there's been that, be greedy when others are fearful, the idea that people seem to be fearful of tech, and now could be a great time to be looking at, Appen, at Altium, at these sort of heavily beaten down tech players.
Yeah, just like I said before, in the market that we're in, it doesn't mean we're saying invest in tech as a whole. There are businesses within tech that are very attractive, just like within any sector.
Yep.
But there are some that have been heavily beaten down due to a narrative that might not be impacting every single tech player.
Just keep in mind as well what tech in the US has done versus what tech here has done, right?
Yeah.
If you look at things like Tesla, Apple, I guess Netflix, Amazon to a degree, their share price is on such a massive tear, whereas a lot of our tech players have actually been on the down.
Yeah, they've
since
been
halfway through last year.
It's almost like we've replaced it with like the some of the commodity players, because commodity was because I remember 2017, 2018, tech was it. Like, it was all we spoke about.
Yep.
Then this buy now, pay later came in. Afterpay Touch obviously did exceptionally well. That's pretty anemic at the moment, having a big pullback.
Yeah.
But I got a broker upgrade with $160 price target.
See, they're the tech players that are really being impacted by, if you're really going to attribute it to the yield narrative. They're the companies that are being impacted because they're trading off such ridiculous multiples.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and when you're not trading off a ridiculous multiple, you're thinking, well, maybe their future earnings potentials aren't being impacted. So, Afterpay is probably dragging down the entire sector as a whole as well. So you look at the headline number, but at the end of the day, that's the biggest tech player we have, and it might be dragging down the tech index.
Absolutely. Listen, let's go to another one, because I think tech could be an area that we're talking about quite a lot. Another turnaround story, gold, and I know we hammered on it before, but it is a bit of a golden opportunity. See what it did there, golden opportunity.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Talk to us about that. Which sectors, which stocks and the gold players are you sort of looking at the moment, Mr. Mossman?
Yeah, so as Gabe mentioned, how low can they go? Now, businesses can go down.
Famous last words, mate.
I'll preface that by saying, or follow that by saying, that businesses can go down for years and years and years and a long time, and they can never recover. But there have been a number of businesses that we've been keeping an eye on within the gold sector that have been very heavily beaten down. And I'll list them off. We've got Evolution Mining, Northern Star Resources, and Newcrest. So Northern Star, obviously, as Gabe mentioned, is the one that merged with Saracen to be one of the largest gold producers in Australia. And Newcrest is one of the largest producers in the world.
And Newcrest also produces copper as well, yeah?
Exactly.
That was your pick last week, wasn't it? Little genius. What's it up since you picked it?
like 70%.
70, right, okay. Yeah, that's not true. Okay.
Well, from their all-time highs,
False advertising.
which were obviously driven by the rising gold prices over $2,000 mid last year, they're down 37%, Evolution Mining, 43%, Northern Star, and 36%.
Yeah, 44. So that's what I said. I remember it. 33% for Northern Star since February.
Yep.
Now, dividend incurred in there, and obviously that had a big step. I hit the bottom. Don had a big sell. 33% since February, and 44% for its all-time high. Now, keep in mind this is 3 days ago. So, that's a big. And then same price as what it was trading at in the peak of the COVID crash, and then the same price as what it was trading at in 2019. Since then, gold's gone up probably over 20%. And on top of that, we've also seen the index, the market move up as well. And they've merged with Saracen.
Yeah.
Seems pretty straightforward. On
Exactly.
that.
And you're looking at these levels, which they're all pretty much trading at the same level they were trading at 2 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And the outlook for gold, the position of gold is far more positive than it was 2 years ago. The businesses themselves haven't changed. And for example, a company like Northern Star is only stronger than it was, say, 2 years ago with that merger of Saracen and the number of projects that they're expanding into. So, look, again, we're not saying every gold miner is going to go up and gold as a whole is the perfect investment right now. But you've got to be very watchful of these businesses that have been heavily beaten down, and you look for that area of value because at some point they will turn around, and you want to be involved in those businesses when they do make that big turnaround.
All right, perfect. Let's do a quick whip around. Gold or tech? You had to put one in one or the other. Gold or tech? Mr. Mossman.
Well, I'm going to be the contrarian and do probably what Lindsay would say is, what would he say?
Neither,
probably.
Nah, okay.
Again, I'll say you can't make a blanket statement about tech or gold. It's too hard to. You can pick specific companies, because I tell you what, there are specific companies within gold and tech that I'll say yes to for both of them. So I'm not going to isolate.
Like for instance, Wise Tech Global, WTC, Wise Tech Global, that hasn't been on a big tear towards the north the same way. So I do understand exactly what you're saying. So you're saying both, but company-specific ones.
If I was going to choose my favorite company-specific one, it would be within the tech sector, and that'll be my opportunity. So we'll leave the suspense.
Okay.
But
all right, perfect.
Sorry about that.
All right, the suspense. Wow, that seat there, I'm not sure if I like that seat very much. Mr. Ryan, what are you looking at? Gold or tech?
Well, I mean, if I'll preface the same way. I mean, certain companies within tech. However, Will, if you're going to avoid one over the other, in general, I probably would just stay clear of the broader tech sector, with exception to a few really good opportunities within there. Gold.
Okay, perfect. Gold. Caroline.
Gold for gold.
Okay.
Gold for gold.
Gold for gold.
But I think it depends on the time frame you're looking at as well.
Okay, yeah. That's a good point. A time frame. Yeah, I mean, we've got to remember both of these businesses. Okay, these are things that you are picking up very low, down at the bottom. Potential big turnaround, big stories, big upside,
absolutely,
but a lower downside risk. Very good. So that's the best and the worst on the ASX this week. Now, have you got a stock that you've been watching for a while? Is it time to buy, sell, or maybe even average in? Why not send us a message? We can ask our panel. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with our final section of the show.
How do you get the highest returns in the stock market on a consistent basis? Obsessed with this idea, Michael KODARI forms KOSEC, KODARI Securities. He seeks, in his own words, a revolutionary investment strategy based on better information and knowledge. Wealth begins with better knowledge, becomes his motto. He seeks to identify and accurately pick the next top-performing stocks on the ASX. He seeks for consistency. Michael KODARI creates a unique stock market filtering system he names Lotus Blue, named after a flower that blooms just once. Because in investing, timing is everything. See how accurate KOSEC stock picks are. Get a free 7-day access to Lotus Blue today. If you want the KOSEC investment edge, you know what you have to do. Call KOSEC now or visit kosec.com.au and take advantage of the insights he reserves for his clients.
Trust is key to any relationship. Fortunately, it's nothing that can be bought. It's earned. As an investor working with an organisation, they need to demonstrate integrity. They must show consistency, full transparency, accountability. They must be genuine in their approach. Their core values must align with yours. They need to put your interest first. If you are considering investing, work with an organisation that earns and nurtures trust. Work with an organisation you believe in. Work with an organisation that treats you the same way they like to be treated. Join an organisation that views clients as people, not people as clients. If you are considering investing, consider KOSEC KODARI Securities.
As kids, we were active. We were creative. We questioned all things. We celebrated everything. We took risks. We had no limits. We had dreams. Our imagination helped us solve problems and create new possibilities. Albert Einstein once said, "Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions." We are in an ever-changing world filled with fear and uncertainty. Don't let that change the inner child within. As Walt Disney said, imagination has no age and dreams are forever. KOSEC is here to help build your dreams and create possibilities. Secure your success with KOSEC KODARI Securities.
Welcome back. The moment we've all been waiting for, the final section of the KOSEC Show. So this is what investors are really looking for. We know what oil, gold, and the dollar has done this week. We know what our top performers for the week were. Now let's find out what our panel is looking at for the week to come. We will start off with the ever wonderful Caroline Wong. Yeah, well, I like to mix it up. I like to keep you on your toes. What are you looking at this week? Why do you like it, and why do you like it so much for the week to come?
I like Kogan.com.
Kogan.
KGN. So it's an operator of retail and services businesses. So it operates in Kogan Marketplace, Kogan Retail, Kogan Insurance, Kogan anything.
Kogan, anything? Yep.
So it also acquired Matt Blatt, so a local furniture company, as well as Dick Smith. So that's adding on to their portfolio. As to why I like it right now, macroeconomically, housing spendings rates are going up. This is according to last quarter GDP figures. And then their saving rates are also going down, which means to say that people are spending money. And as such, I think Kogan will stand to benefit given that it's so exposed to the above-mentioned categories.
Very good, very good.
Financial, since it was listed, sales, revenues, operating margin increasing steadily. And then in its most recent first half 21 results, they recorded like 3 million active customers and a 160% increase in net profit after tax. So that's amazing. As such, institutions like Credit Suisse like it a lot, giving it like 50% upside. And I think the most attractive thing about it is the technical. So if we look at the chart, it's heavily beaten down, trading at a 9-month low right now. It establishes level of support, which our producer has highlighted at a level of $12.58. Rebounding since it touched off that lows, approaching middle Donchian channel. So as with the stochastic, the MACD is positively diverging and positively cross, indicating potential positive movement moving forward.
Very good. So that's your opportunity. Kogan, Kogan.com, or should we say Kogain? Because it's gain. Kogain. Gain, because it's going to... Okay, anyway, moving right along. Mr. Ryan, what are you looking at this week? Give me another shot. Give me a shot to redeem myself on the puns. Give me a shot to redeem myself.
I mean, it's going to be a tough one, but I mean...
Yeah, okay, what have you got for me?
Well, in light of our prior discussion, I thought to bring Northern Star Resources.
That's the easiest one ever.
Hey, well, I mean, why not?
So you could say that it's seen the North Star, and maybe it's going to go into
the
North
stars.
Oh, shooting for the stars. Oh, I like that one. Shooting for the stars. Anyway, this is getting out of hand. Talk to us about Northern Star. What do we like it? I mean, I know you've spoken about it a bit today.
Yeah, so I just do a bit of a recap. Essentially, we've seen so much, fiscal monetary stimulus coming through. Inflation expectations are so high. Gold is something which could potentially do well off the back of that as well. We did discuss the price action of gold lately. Again, if we have the chart for Northern Star, we can see that it's pretty much where it was trading in March last year, also September the year before that, and potentially a very strong level of support there, just below the $9 mark. Again, potentially a little bit irrationally pushed down. I mean, gold is 20% above where it was trading at the same time, so potentially something which could continue to do quite well. They had that merger of equals with Saracen, making one of the largest producers as well, and the broker calls are also looking really quite encouraging as well, 30 to 50% north upside from where it is currently trading at. Again, 80% to get to the all-time high, roughly, from memory. So I think this could do really well moving forward in this very interesting environment we have.
Very good. So that's Northern Star. No surprises there. We talk about it quite a bit. Let's go over to Mr. Mossman.
Mister.
All right, here we go.
Well, I'll let you think about it. But
or should I say, buenos dias? You'll understand it because your pick. Don't worry.
Just don't let Miss
I'll leave
Mossman
that
go.
right there. All right, Appen Technologies is my pick for today. So they do a range of artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies, in particular for language translation.
There we go. See, that's where the buenos dias comes in because you see
no,
what I did
smart.
there? Yeah, I thought
Give
so.
it to you. So yeah, they're heavily involved. They're a tech company. But as we were mentioning before, and that plays into my pick of tech in particular, they've been heavily beaten down over recent months. Gabe mentioned 150%. Was it to recent?
It was about 147. It was 147. It was a big time. Yeah.
Some pretty big digits.
So a company that is heavily beaten down. The way I look at it is the business that they are and the product and services that they offer has not changed, and the outlook for those services has not changed over the last 6 months, where they've had that fall in share price of 50% or whatever it is, a ridiculous drop in share price. Now, major institutions share that exact view with me, so they still value the business quite highly. Here we've got Ord Minnett, 36% upside, UBS, Credit Suisse, and Citibank with 7, 10, and 70% upside as well. So yes, tech has been beaten down, but the business and service they offer are still very attractive and relevant in our world today. They have a lot of clients, big tech companies in the US that will not stop needing their services as well. For example, Facebook is someone that they work very closely with. Now, we bring it up on a chart. It has found and has used a very key level of support. This is a business we've been involved in a lot over the last, say, about a week and a half ago. We had looked at that very closely, and it has used that level of support, bounced up pretty quickly. Now, of course, this is a business that, It will take a long time, not a long time. It will take some time for it to get to its highs, but it is definitely a business that is seen undervalued in the market and something that might be picked up for a bit of a discount over the next week or two as it's at the current levels it's at. So that's why I like Appen, and
Very good. So we've got Appen Technology, we've got Northern Star Resources, and we've got Kogan or Kogan.com. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in this week. On behalf of everyone here at the show, I want to wish our clients, friends, and colleagues a safe and happy weekend. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the show. My name is Will Brownlee, and this has been the KOSEC Show.